There is a moment every woman experiences, but very few are taught how to recognize it clearly. A moment when something feels wrong, yet nothing looks wrong on the surface. He still texts, he still calls, he still shows interest. And yet somehow you feel smaller, more uncertain, and more emotionally invested than he is. This is how a woman starts getting played. Not through obvious lies, but through emotional imbalance. Most women think being played means betrayal, cheating, or sudden disappearance. But the truth is far more subtle and far more dangerous. A man who is playing you does not want you gone. He wants you emotionally available, mentally attached, and constantly guessing, while he remains comfortably detached. He gives you attention, but not consistency. Affection, but not direction. Hope, but never clarity. And the longer this continues, the more you start questioning yourself instead of his behavior. You ask yourself if you're overthinking, if you're expecting too much, if you should just be more patient, more understanding, more flexible. And while you are adjusting yourself to keep the connection alive, he is learning something important about you. That you will stay even without certainty. That you will invest even without commitment. That you will doubt your intuition before you doubt his intentions. This is not because you are weak. It is because you care. But caring without boundaries is exactly what makes a woman easy to play. A man who is playing you is not always cruel. Often, he is simply benefiting from access without responsibility. He enjoys your presence, your emotional depth, your loyalty, and your attention, while keeping his options open and his intentions undefined. The most dangerous part is that this dynamic can feel like potential. It feels like something meaningful is building. But in reality, you are standing still emotionally while he stays in control of the pace. Real women do not win by confronting emotionally, chasing clarity, or trying harder to be chosen. They win by recognizing patterns early and responding with self-respect instead of reaction. This video exists to help you see what you may have been feeling all along, but struggling to name. Because once you recognize the signs, everything changes. Confusion fades, emotional power returns, and you stop being the woman who is waiting to be chosen and become the woman who chooses herself. Today, you're going to learn the 7 clearest signs he's playing you, and more importantly, what real women do about it. Not to manipulate, not to punish, but to protect their dignity, their emotional health, and their future. Watch carefully, because once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. And once you change how you respond, being played is no longer an option. Section 1. He gives you attention, but avoids real investment. One of the first and most confusing signs that a man is playing you is the imbalance between how much attention he gives and how little he actually invests. He texts often, he checks in, he flirts, he makes you feel wanted in the moment. Yet when it comes to real effort, consistency, or forward movement, something is always missing. This dynamic is dangerous because attention feels like interest. It feels validating. It feels reassuring. But attention without investment is not commitment. It is access. And a man who is playing you is very skilled at giving just enough attention to keep you emotionally engaged while avoiding anything that would require responsibility. You may notice that plans stay vague. Conversations stay emotionally stimulating, but rarely grounding. He talks about feelings, chemistry, and connection, yet avoids concrete actions that would deepen the relationship. There is always a reason to delay clarity. He is busy, he needs time, he wants to go with the flow, and slowly you begin adapting yourself to his pace instead of questioning the direction. Many women misinterpret this phase because it feels intimate. You talk often, you share thoughts, you laugh, you connect emotionally. But intimacy without intention creates attachment on one side and comfort on the other. You are bonding. He is enjoying the experience without anchoring himself to it. A man who is genuinely interested does not only give attention when it suits him. He shows up with consistency. He follows through. He creates a sense of emotional safety through reliability, not just words. When that consistency is missing, attention becomes a tool, not a sign of depth. What real women do differently in this situation is subtle but powerful. They stop confusing attention with effort. They observe patterns instead of reacting to moments. They notice whether his presence is stable or convenient. And when they sense imbalance, they do not overinvest emotionally to compensate for what is missing. Instead of asking for reassurance repeatedly, they pull their energy back slightly. Not to test him, but to protect themselves. They remain warm, but not over-available. Interested, but not emotionally dependent. This creates clarity, because a man who values you will rise to meet consistency with consistency, while a man who was only enjoying access will fade when emotional supply is no longer automatic. The moment you stop rewarding attention without effort, the truth reveals itself. You are no longer guessing. You are observing. And observation is where emotional power returns. A woman who understands this does not chase clarity. She allows behavior to reveal intention. And once she sees the pattern clearly, she no longer stays in situations where interest is implied but never proven. Section 2. He sends mixed signals that keep you emotionally hooked. One of the most effective ways a man plays a woman is not through lies, but through inconsistency. Mixed signals are confusing by design. One day he is warm, attentive, and emotionally present. The next day he is distant, distracted, or unavailable. And because the shift is never explained clearly, you are left trying to interpret what changed instead of questioning why the pattern exists. Mixed signals create emotional attachment because they trigger uncertainty. When something is unpredictable, the mind works harder to make sense of it. You replay conversations. You analyze tone. You look for clues. And without realizing it, your emotional energy becomes centered around him, even when he is not fully present. A man who is playing you benefits from this confusion. When you are unsure, you are less likely to demand clarity. You hesitate to bring things up because you don't want to seem needy or push him away. So you stay quiet, adjust yourself, and wait for the warm version of him to return. This is how emotional imbalance grows. The highs feel meaningful because they are rare. The lows are tolerated because you believe they are temporary. And slowly, you become emotionally invested in moments instead of patterns. A man who genuinely wants you does not create emotional whiplash. His interest may grow gradually, but it does not disappear and reappear without explanation. Consistency is not boring when it comes from care. It is calming. It creates trust. Mixed signals do the opposite. They create anxiety disguised as chemistry. Real women do not chase clarity when faced with mixed signals. They step back and observe. They ask themselves a simple but powerful question. Is this dynamic making me feel secure or uncertain? If the answer is uncertainty, they treat that feeling as information, not weakness. Instead of trying to decode his behavior, they adjust their investment. They stop filling emotional gaps he creates. They stop initiating when effort is not returned. They allow space to exist without rushing to fix it. This is not a game. It is emotional self-protection. When a man senses that mixed signals no longer keep you engaged, he reveals himself. If he cares, he will step forward with consistency and clarity. If he was enjoying the control that confusion gave him, he will pull away once the emotional leverage disappears. Either outcome gives you truth. Mixed signals only work on women who ignore their intuition. The moment you trust how a situation feels instead of how it is explained, you regain power. You stop being emotionally hooked by uncertainty and start choosing stability instead. And that is when being played stops. Section 3. He avoids commitment while keeping you emotionally close. One of the clearest signs a man is playing you is how comfortable he feels keeping you emotionally close while avoiding any form of real commitment. He shares personal stories. He opens up about his past. He talks about his struggles, his fears, and even his dreams. On the surface, this feels like emotional intimacy. But underneath, something important is missing. Direction. Emotional closeness without commitment creates attachment without security. You feel connected, involved, and emotionally invested, yet there is no clear structure to the relationship. No definition, no forward movement, no shared understanding of where things are going. And because the connection feels deep, you hesitate to question the lack of clarity. A man who is playing you often prefers this space. It gives him the benefits of a relationship without the responsibility of one. He receives emotional support, validation, companionship, and loyalty while remaining free from expectations. He feels close to you, but not accountable to you. This dynamic is especially confusing because emotional vulnerability is often mistaken for seriousness. When he opens up, you assume it means he is emotionally invested in the future. But vulnerability without commitment is not partnership. It is comfort. And comfort without responsibility allows imbalance to grow quietly. Real men do not fear clarity. Even if they are unsure about the future, they communicate honestly. They do not hide behind emotional depth to avoid direction. When a man truly values you, he wants you to feel secure, not uncertain. He understands that clarity builds trust, not pressure. What real women do differently in this situation is powerful but subtle. They stop providing relationship-level emotional support when there is no relationship-level commitment. They remain kind, warm, and respectful, but they do not overfunction emotionally. They do not become the safe place he leans on while keeping his options open. Instead of asking him where things are going repeatedly, they adjust their behavior. They invest less emotionally. They create space. They stop filling the role of partner when the title and direction are missing. And this shift forces clarity without confrontation. When a man is serious, he feels the change and responds by stepping up. He offers definition, consistency, and effort. When he is playing you, he resists clarity, becomes vague, or pulls away once emotional access is reduced. That response tells you everything you need to know. A woman who understands this does not argue for commitment. She does not convince. She does not negotiate her worth. She simply aligns her investment with what is being offered. And when alignment is missing, she steps back with dignity. Emotional closeness should feel safe, not confusing. When closeness exists without commitment, it is not intimacy. It is imbalance. And the moment you stop participating in that imbalance, the game ends. Section 4. He tests your boundaries to see what you'll tolerate. One of the most revealing signs a man is playing you is not found in his words, but in how he slowly begins to test your boundaries. These tests are rarely obvious. They are subtle, gradual, and easy to excuse if you are emotionally invested. He replies later than usual. He cancels plans casually. He makes jokes that cross a line. He prioritizes others while expecting you to remain available. None of these moments feel serious on their own. That is why they are effective. A man who is playing you is watching closely to see how you respond, not consciously in a calculating way, but instinctively. He notices whether you speak up or stay quiet, whether you adjust yourself or hold your ground, whether you tolerate discomfort to keep the connection smooth. When boundaries are crossed without consequence, a message is sent that your standards are flexible, that your discomfort is negotiable, that staying connected matters more to you than being respected. Most women fail this stage not because they lack strength, but because they value harmony. They do not want to seem difficult. They do not want to push him away. So they explain things gently, laugh things off, or tell themselves it is not a big deal. But every time a boundary is softened, the imbalance grows. A man who truly respects you does not need repeated reminders. He may make mistakes, but he adjusts when he senses discomfort. He cares about how his behavior affects you. When a man continues crossing lines after seeing your reaction, it is not confusion. It is information. Real women do not enforce boundaries through emotional speeches or repeated warnings. They enforce them through behavior. When something feels off, they create space. They reduce emotional access. They stop overgiving where respect is missing. This response is calm, not dramatic, and that is why it is powerful. When you stop tolerating small violations, clarity appears quickly. A man who values you will notice the shift and correct his behavior. A man who was enjoying the flexibility will feel frustrated when access is no longer automatic. And that frustration reveals his intentions clearly. Boundaries are not about control. They are about self-respect. You are not trying to change him. You are simply choosing not to participate in situations that make you feel undervalued. A woman who honors her boundaries does not argue about respect. She expects it. And when it is missing, she steps back without guilt. The moment you stop tolerating what makes you uncomfortable is the moment you stop being played, because a man cannot take advantage of boundaries you consistently protect. Section 5. He keeps you as an option, while avoiding a real choice. One of the most painful signs a man is playing you is when he keeps you close enough to feel important, but never close enough to feel chosen. He does not disappear. He does not fully commit. He stays right in the middle, where you are emotionally invested, and he remains undecided. This dynamic is subtle because it feels like possibility. He checks in. He flirts. He maintains emotional connection. He may even talk about the future in vague, non-committal ways. But when it comes to choosing you clearly and consistently, he hesitates, delays, or deflects. A man who keeps you as an option benefits from your availability without having to offer certainty. He knows you are there. He knows you care. And that knowledge allows him to explore, hesitate, or remain emotionally detached without fear of losing you immediately. Your presence becomes a safety net. Many women stay stuck here because they hope time will create clarity. They believe that if they are patient, supportive, and understanding, he will eventually realize their value. But choice does not come from patience. It comes from intention. And intention reveals itself through action, not words. A man who wants you does not keep you guessing about your place in his life. Even if he moves slowly, his direction is clear. He makes you feel secure, not uncertain. When uncertainty becomes a pattern, it is not a phase. It is a decision to avoid deciding. Real women do not compete silently for a man's attention. They do not stay emotionally available while waiting to be chosen. They recognize that being an option erodes self-respect over time. And instead of forcing a decision through pressure or ultimatums, they step back. Stepping back does not mean disappearing dramatically. It means reclaiming your emotional energy. It means investing in yourself instead of investing in uncertainty. It means aligning your effort with what is being offered. This shift is quiet, but it is powerful. When a man senses that you are no longer waiting, the dynamic changes. If he truly values you, he will step forward with clarity. He will make a choice because the safety net is gone. If he does not, his silence or withdrawal gives you the answer you are avoiding. Being kept as an option hurts because it slowly teaches you to accept less than you deserve. A woman who respects herself does not wait to be chosen. She chooses herself when clarity is missing. The moment you stop accepting half commitment is the moment you stop being played. Because a man cannot keep you as an option when you refuse to live in uncertainty. Section 6. He only steps up when he feels you pulling away. The final and most revealing sign that a man is playing you appears when your energy begins to change. Not when you confront him, not when you demand answers, but when you quietly stop over-investing, when you initiate less, when you stop filling emotional gaps, when you return your focus to your own life instead of managing the connection. Suddenly, he notices. He becomes more attentive. He checks in more often. He shows warmth that was missing before. He may even say the things you were hoping to hear. And for a moment, it feels like progress, like he finally realized your value. But real women understand the difference between desire and reaction. A man who only steps up when he feels you pulling away is not responding to connection. He is responding to loss of control. Your reduced availability disrupts the dynamic he was comfortable in. And instead of choosing you with clarity, he re-engages just enough to restore balance in his favor. This creates emotional whiplash. When you invest, he relaxes. When you pull back, he pursues. And if you are not aware of this pattern, you can mistake reactive effort for genuine intention. You believe change has happened, so you reinvest emotionally. And once you do, the cycle repeats. A man who truly wants you does not need the threat of losing you to show up consistently. His effort does not spike only when distance appears. It remains steady, grounded, and intentional. Consistency does not depend on fear. It comes from choice. What real women do differently at this stage is crucial. They do not rush back emotionally when he reappears. They do not reward sudden effort with immediate access. They remain calm, observant, and steady in their new level of engagement. They allow time to test whether his behavior stabilizes or fades again. If his interest disappears once he feels secure again, the truth is clear. He was not choosing you. He was protecting comfort. And comfort at your expense is not love. If, however, his effort remains consistent over time, with clarity and accountability, then real connection can begin on new terms. But that connection only forms because you refuse to collapse your boundaries for temporary attention. The power here is not in walking away dramatically. It is in not returning emotionally until consistency proves itself. This is where many women reclaim their self-respect fully. They stop being pulled by hope. They stop chasing moments. They stop confusing intensity with intention. When a man only shows up when he feels you slipping away, he reveals his true motivation. And once you see that pattern clearly, you cannot unsee it. The game ends the moment you stop reacting to his fear of losing you and start choosing stability over emotional highs. Section 7. He becomes defensive the moment you ask for clarity. One of the clearest and most overlooked signs a man is playing you appears the moment you calmly ask for clarity. Not an emotional confrontation, not pressure, not accusations. Just a grounded, respectful request to understand where things are going or what he truly wants. And suddenly, his energy changes. He becomes defensive. He avoids the question. He tells you that you are overthinking, moving too fast, or creating unnecessary tension. He may say he likes you, but immediately follows it with reasons why labels, direction, or commitment feel uncomfortable for him right now. The conversation shifts away from clarity and toward managing your expectations. This reaction is not confusion, it is resistance. A man who is genuinely interested does not feel threatened by clarity. Even if he is unsure, he welcomes honest conversation because he cares about how you feel. He does not shame you for wanting direction. He does not turn your need for clarity into a flaw. He understands that emotional safety matters. A man who is playing you, however, benefits from ambiguity. Ambiguity gives him freedom without accountability. It allows him to enjoy your emotional investment while keeping his options open. And when you ask for clarity, you threaten that comfort. So instead of answering directly, he reframes the issue as your problem. This is where many women doubt themselves. They start apologizing for asking. They minimize their needs. They convince themselves they are asking for too much, too soon, or too often. And in doing so, they abandon their intuition to preserve the connection. Real women do not do this. They recognize that clarity is not pressure. It is respect. Wanting to know where you stand is not insecurity. It is emotional maturity. And a man who reacts defensively to clarity is revealing that he prefers access over responsibility. What real women do at this stage is powerful and quiet. They stop pushing for answers, not because they no longer care, but because they have received one already through his reaction. They pull their emotional investment back. They stop acting like a partner where partnership is avoided. They allow distance to replace confusion. This response changes everything. Because when you stop negotiating your needs, the dynamic shifts. A man who values you will feel the shift and step forward with honesty and direction. A man who was playing you will grow distant once emotional access is no longer guaranteed. And that distance gives you the clarity you were asking for all along. A woman who respects herself does not beg for clarity. She observes how a man responds to it. And when that response is defensiveness, avoidance, or blame, she chooses herself without drama. The moment you stop apologizing for wanting clarity is the moment you stop being played. Because a man who cannot meet you in honesty is not confused. He is comfortable. And comfort, at the cost of your emotional peace, is not something a real woman accepts. In short, at the end of everything you've just learned is one simple truth. Being played does not begin when a man lies, disappears, or chooses someone else. It begins when a woman ignores what she feels in order to preserve what she hopes. Every sign you've seen in this video was never meant to create fear. It was meant to restore clarity, because clarity is what returns your power. A man cannot play a woman who observes patterns instead of chasing moments, who values consistency over chemistry, and who chooses self-respect over emotional attachment. Real women do not win by confronting emotionally, explaining their worth, or waiting patiently for someone to decide. They win by responding with alignment, by pulling back when effort is missing, by stepping away when boundaries are tested, by refusing to stay emotionally available where clarity is avoided. This is not coldness. This is maturity. A man who genuinely wants you will not feel threatened by your standards. He will rise to meet them. He will bring consistency, direction, and emotional safety. And if he doesn't, you will not lose yourself trying to earn what should be freely given. The moment you stop asking whether he wants you and start asking whether his behavior deserves you, the dynamic reverses. You are no longer waiting. You are choosing. And that choice is where confidence returns, dignity stabilizes, and emotional peace replaces confusion. Some men will step up when you do this. Others will fall away. Both outcomes are wins for a woman who knows her worth. Being played ends the moment you stop participating in uncertainty and start honoring how you feel without apology. And once you reach that place, you do not need closure, explanations, or promises. You already have the answer. It's in the consistency. It's in the effort. It's in the calm you feel when something is right. He was playing the game. You chose yourself. And that is the moment everything changed.